Oh boy. Okay.
All right, so today is International Human Rights Day, marking the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Founder of CAUSE, Trinidad and Tobago Bishop Dr. Victor Gill, and President of the Anguilla Evangelical Association, Reverend Philip Gums. Reverend Gums, closest to us in the darker shirt, and Bishop over there. Good morning to you both. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. First time to Jamaica?
No, that's my first time.
Your first time, sir?
No, sir. I've been here a few times.
Okay, so welcome back to Jamaica.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is Caribbean Cause? Let me start with you, Dr. Gill.
Well, Caribbean Cause is a group of activists who believe that there is a threat to the Judeo-Christian worldview by a secular humanistic worldview and the LGBT agenda that is mutually exclusive to the values of Christianity, so that the both cannot coexist. For one to exist, it must exclude the other. And so as Christians, we believe that it is imperative to defend our position at this particular time. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, we are having what we will consider judicial tyranny, where laws are being made to facilitate the LGBT agenda, LGBTQI, the indoctrination of our children. We have no problem with gay rights and all these things.
Is that true?
What?
You have no problem with gay rights?
We have no problem with gay rights. I did not finish the statement. But it must be understood. For there to be rights, there must be wrong. Rights cannot exist in a vacuum. And you have the right to be wrong. You see, having rights don't mean that you are right. You have the right also to be wrong. And there are consequences to rights. So rights must be defined by laws. And yes, the gays can have their rights, but their rights are not superior to our rights. We have rights too, the rights of conscience, the rights of religion, the rights of belief.
We as in Christianity.
So gay people are human beings.
Yeah.
Human rights are not accorded to all human beings?
Sure, there certainly are. So now the question is, how are those rights defined? For example, France was seen as the smoking capital of the world. Mm-hmm. But because of medical realities of smoking, they have become very hard on smoking. England's head of the NHS has said that he wants a smoke-free Britain by, at first he was saying 2022. He's gone to 2030. People love to smoke. It's their right to smoke. They have a right. But they're saying, well, look at the medical realities, the economic cost to the country. So what you may see as a human right, we have to redefine that.
Because it infringes on the rights of others.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, anal sex is, according to WebMed, it is 30 times more risky than vaginal sex. That's a health risk. Yet it is being promoted as something which is totally normal and natural. It cannot be sustained without scientific intervention. So something that cannot be sustained without scientific intervention, how can that be defined as a right when nature itself shows it to be inherently self-destructive?
Yep. By the way, do you agree with what the Bishop said in his opening answer?
If I agree? Yeah, I mean that the worldviews clash, and what is the situation is that initially the gay movement was saying just decriminalize sodomy. Then they were saying we want civil unions. Then they were saying we just want the right to marry. But as those rights are given, a person can call Christians anything. They can use the F word about the church, about Christ, and they won't lose their job. You simply say on your Facebook page that homosexuality is wrong, and you're out of a job the next day. Not in Jamaica, not in the Caribbean, but in the UK.
So you're saying there's an agenda. Okay. I just want to ask one more question, just for clarity. Mm-hmm. So you brought up the example of the smoking and the infringement of health. Obviously, if you smoke in an open environment, then I'm breathing in your secondhand smoke. That's a problem. So if that has to be addressed through laws, I get that. But you are Some would say you're comparing apples and oranges. Person chooses to smoke. This goes to the heart of another argument about whether one is born gay or whether one chooses homosexuality, and one has to do, well, both have to do with consent. If there are two people who choose to be, two consenting adults who choose to be together and they're of the same sex, what does it matter to anybody who is looking on if they're conducting their relationship in the privacy of their own space and their own home? Well, what about their right to do that?
We don't have a problem with that. But what we are saying, because that has been going on for a long time, don't change the law to incriminate and punish Christians so that what happened to Professor Brendan Baines for giving a professional counsel on the matter, he was fired. But he won the case. So we see there's a sense of bullying and there's not a mutual respect. We are saying you can practice what you want. There are consequences to that. But don't infringe on my rights and tell me you have to teach my children this.
Who are you saying that to?
We are saying that to the LGBT community and the United Nations and our government. We want them to know that we as the people will not subscribe ourselves to that kind of bullying, if I should put it that way.
Why are you in Jamaica?
Good question. We are here for the Caribbean Conference for the Family. So we are here under the auspices of Caribbean Cause, Jamaica Cause, and the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society. But just with what you had said there, the question, Kevin Hart, a popular comedian, if he had seen Dan Lemon on CNN saying, Kevin, call me, come and talk. And a news reporter who was on the line with Dan Lemon said, but he apologized already. The question is, how often do you have to apologize? And Dan Lemon said, as often as it takes, as often as it takes. Now, if Kevin Hart had made a slur about Christians and say that Christians are just dumb, there's no support for creation, and it's foolish, no one would have seen any issue with that. He could have gone and cheered any event. But to say anything...
Well, technically you don't know that because he didn't.
I'm sorry?
Technically you don't know. I mean, he said some pretty horrible things, even about abuse of women, which is, you know, so there are some really horrifying things that he did say. So So
then how come the women aren't protesting and saying, you should not be saying it, you should not be cheering?
But because the women aren't doing it doesn't make it right.
No, but
or maybe they ought to be.
But you're missing the point.
You're suggesting that because he said something about gays is the reason he was
that particular group has the clout. They are funded by the biggest companies in the world. And so you can get away with saying anything about any group, but that group, the moment you misstep, your head is on the action block. Doctors in the UK who have referred to patients by their birth gender lose their jobs. We talk about an agenda. The BBC did a documentary of a teacher in England who's teaching her 6-year-olds. The assignment is that the prince is in love with his subject, his servant. The servant is a man. So the 6-year-olds are instructed to write a love letter, a proposal letter from the prince. They are the prince, and you have to write a love letter to the servant proposing to marry him. If that is not indoctrination, then what is? And parents who object to that are threatened. There have been instances where they aren't allowed to even enter the school premises. If that doesn't sound like an agenda, in Oregon, a child cannot, in the US, a child cannot receive a tablet, a Fensic and Advil, without a written consent from the parents. But a 15-year-old in Oregon can have a sex change operation without the knowledge or consent of parents.
Wow. Yeah, there's certainly a lot
I just want to make a
point. A lot of issues too.
On you know, the freedom of LGBT, QI and queer. Okay, there's something called necrophilia, which is sex with the dead. No, to enjoy yourself, you must kill the person first and then have sex with them.
Is necrophilia under the LGBTQ banner?
Well, there's queer and questioning. What is queer? What is questioning?
Necrophilia is a, I think, I would want to argue that necrophilia is a different I think LGBTQ.
Q, R, S, T, U, B. They keep adding. What is queer and what is questioning? You see?
Wow.
These things are not clearly defined. So what I'm saying,
No, but
do
it's
you have
like
rights?
sweeping pedophilia under homosexuality. They're not mutually exclusive. And I think, I'm not sure that necrophilia belongs under, I don't know, does bestiality belong under there too?
Of course. What is queer
Okay.
and questioning? It means that, you know, I am practicing things that I'm not sure where I stand with this. There's
Not
no
sure.
limit to
But
this.
bestiality is a crime.
Well, let's just
as is
say this.
necrophilia, no?
The founder of LGBT, the founder of the father of the sexual revolution was Alfred Kinsey. Alfred Kinsey said the only sex act that is unnatural is one that you cannot perform. A lot of the research that Alfred Kinsey had came from pedophiles, and it's there at the institute. So this is not some kind of bogus theory.
Yeah, I understand, but pedophilia is a crime, and pedophiles are prosecuted for, and there are many homosexuals who will tell you that they do not condone pedophilia. I think sometimes we lump them in the same category.
But you're missing my point. I'm saying that the philosophy that Alfred Kinsey has cast to, he is the father of the sexual revolution, Alfred Kinsey and John Money. And so the gays have gotten their impetus from a man who got a lot of research, mostly from his sample was skewed. Most of his research was from prostitutes and the gay population, and he made that to be representative of the general population. So as a scientist, he was bogus, but his research has been used to champion a lot of rights.
Flawed research,
We have to go. We have to go. Great to meet you both.
Hold on,
Thank
press
you very
conference Monday, that's this morning,
Yes.
10 o'clock at the Family Life Ministries, 1 Cecilia Avenue, Kingston 10. Guys, if you can, obviously it's a very fascinating discussion. You can go and check it out with these gentlemen.
Well, especially this evening at the Undercraft at 6 o'clock.
Okay, are
at
you today as well?
University.
Okay, fantastic.
That's an invitation to all of the community.
Excellent.
Founder of Cause from Trinidad and Tobago, Bishop Dr. Victor Gill, and President of the Anguilla Evangelical Association, Reverend Philip Gumps.
All right, folks, from this lane to managing money on the other side of the break. We'll be right back.